Hello everyone, I welcome you all to Study IQ. My name is Dr. Mahipal Singh Rathod and in this lecture I will be discussing women's role in India's freedom struggle. Before starting the lecture, let me tell you that Study IQ has its pendrive and tablet courses that cover the entire syllabus for SSC exams, bank exams, other government exams like CLAT, KVS, DSSB and UPSC IAS examination. So for all these exams we have pendrive, tablet and also Android courses. So you can plug in a micro SD card into your phone and you can study on the go, or you can study from the comfortable environment of your own home. You do not need to go to any metro city and you can save your time and your parents' hard-earned money. So this is the new future. This is the future of education in India. So to know more about our courses, you can visit our website studyiq.com or call on these numbers. In this lecture, we will be discussing women's role in India's freedom struggle. So this is an important topic for CSE prelims as well as mains and any other exam which has GK as part of the syllabus like SSC CGL. We have seen in the past few years that social development, role and status of women in society have been the major focus topics in history. This is a new trend where rather than the conventional history questions about wars and other thing, we are asked about the social status or the development or the role of women in society. And a question was directly asked in mains 2013 regarding the role of women in freedom struggle. So you might have studied everything. Everyone has studied the national movement, but at that time when you have to write an answer quickly, it is very hard to recollect all the names that you have studied far apart in different chapters. So what I have done here is compiled all the women freedom fighters together in one videos, all the important ones. So I have covered many freedom fighters. You can write them even if you're able to write 6 or 7 of them and write a little bit about their contribution, what kind of social background did they come from, which religion, caste, community. See, these things are important because you have to show in the answer that it is not just the rich people or just the poor people who are fighting for the freedom of India. These freedom fighters came from all the strata of society. They were highly educated, some were illiterate, some were from very affluent families, some were from a very poor social background. I will begin with the most famous freedom fighter of all, Rani Lakshmi Bai of Jhansi. Her original name was Manikarnika Tambe. This reminds me, tell me which city is famous for its Manikarnika Ghat, which river and which city. So Manikarnika Tambe or Lakshmi Bai of Jhansi was opposing the annexation of her kingdom of Jhansi. Her husband, the Raja, had died without a natural born child, and thus Lord Dalhousie, under the doctrine of lapse, had annexed Jhansi in 1853. So by 1858, when the Great Revolt had started, she was also fighting at Jhansi against the British forces, and later she fought at Gwalior with Tatya Tope, and they captured the Gwalior fort for a few days, but later they were defeated and she died fighting heroically at Gwalior. The Rani of Jhansi regiment was formed in the Indian National Army by Subhash Chandra Bose when he was fighting the British with the help of Japanese in northeast India. He formed the Rani of Jhansi regiment, which had women as fighters. Next is Aruna Asaf Ali. She was a Congress leader during the freedom struggle, and breaking all social conventions, she married a Muslim man who was 20 years her senior, Asaf Ali. That is why her marriage was opposed by her family and other people, but still she went ahead with it, and then she took active part. Both her and her husband were active Congress members and they took part in civil disobedience movement. Then she took part in individual satyagrah and she was sent to jail for these. She is very famous for the Quit India movement. So there was this session of Congress in Bombay on 8th of August, and there the Quit India movement proclamation was made. Gandhiji announced that we are beginning a new movement called Quit India movement. The next day, all senior members of Congress, Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru and Maulana Azad were arrested. So she was the one who finished the session, she concluded the session and she hoisted the tricolour at Govalia Tank Maidan. So this was during the time when Quit India movement was announced. She was also the editor of a newspaper called Inqilab, which was a monthly journal of Congress. Remember, all the newspapers of freedom fighters are important. I suggest you write them down somewhere separately so that it is easier to revise before going to give any exam. Begum Safia Abdul Wajid belonged to a rich Muslim family of Uttar Pradesh. She was a postgraduate from Allahabad University and she had a government lecturer job which she lost because of her participation in the Quit India movement. So you can see even people from different religions, all the religions, Hindu, Muslim, rich, poor, everyone was participating in the freedom movement. Then we have Madam Bhikaji Kama. She was a rich Parsi woman from Bombay, and she went to live in London, where she was influenced by Dadabhai Nauroji and Shyamji Krishna Verma. So under the influence of these people, she joined the national movement, and she spread awareness about India in United Kingdom, France, and other cities of Europe. So she was not very active in India. Remember, she was active in Europe. She was fighting for India's freedom in outside India. She ran a newsletter named Bande Matram, and she founded two organizations called Free India Society and the Paris Indian Society. Earlier, she was living in London. From there, they had to escape to Paris because the London police was after them. So they went and lived in Paris. Many of the freedom fighters there. She also tried to help Veer Savarkar escape from London, but he was arrested later. A very important event, she made the national flag, the earliest national flag. This is the flag that was designed by her. Later it was modified by the Congress and used as its own flag, which was again later modified and made the India's national flag. So this was the first tricolor, and it was unfurled at the second Socialist International Conference in 1907 in Stuttgart, Germany. So Stuttgart is a place in Germany where she unfurled this flag in the second International Socialist International. Madam Bhikaji Kama. Sarojini Naidu is often called the Nightingale of India, Swar Kokila. She was one of the first women to participate in the freedom struggle. Her mentor was Gopal Krishna Gokhale, who was also the mentor of Mahatma Gandhi. He was also the political guru of Gandhi. Now, under the influence of Gopal Krishna Gokhale and Gandhiji, she participated in all the programs like civil disobedience, non-cooperation, as well as the Dandi March. She was with Gandhiji during Dandi March. She also served as the first Indian woman president of Indian National Congress. The session was 1925 Kanpur. The first woman ever to serve as a president was Annie Besant, but the first Indian woman to do so was Sarojini Naidu. She also accompanied Gandhiji to second round table conference where Congress took part. Tell me which year did second round table conference take place. Tell me all the years, first, second and third, and what result came out of the second round table conference. Was it successful or unsuccessful? The first woman to become governor in independent India, she was made the governor of United Provinces and Agra, that is today's Uttar Pradesh, in 1947, but she died in 1949. Also, her daughter was part of the freedom movement. Padmaja Naidu was arrested at the age of 21 during Quit India movement. Jyotirmoy Ganguly was a government servant. She had a government job, but she left it during the civil disobedience movement when Gandhiji asked everyone to leave their jobs and join the movement. She took part in anti-British demonstrations during civil disobedience movement, later during Quit India movement, and she was put in jail for these. She also demanded the release of jailed Indian National Army soldiers. So after the World War II was over in 1945, all the arrested soldiers of Indian National Army who had fought along with Subhash Chandra Bose, they were arrested and they were charged with sedition. So there were a lot of protests going on in India to release them, not to charge them with sedition cases. And during one of these protests, the police fired upon the crowd and she died during such a protest. Jyotirmoy Ganguly. Next is Rani Gaidinliu. Rani Gaidinliu was a Naga tribal. She belonged to a Naga tribe from Manipur area. She was a spiritual and political leader. She started a cult called Heraka cult, she and some other people. So this Heraka cult was to revive old Naga practices. The Naga religion was changing very quickly. Many Naga people were starting to convert to Christianity. So old practices were not being followed. So she tried to revive those old practices. And also she organized rebellion to overthrow British from the Manipur and Nagaland area and to establish the self-rule of Naga. She fought a guerrilla war, so she did not protest in a non-violent method. Remember, she was a revolutionary. She fought with an army, she assembled few people, they attacked British forces, and this was a guerrilla war in the mountains. But she was arrested finally in 1932 at the age of 16 years. So she did all this when she was hardly 13-14 years. She was fighting with the British. At the age of 16, she was put in jail and she remained there until 1947, when after independence of India, she was released. See, British rulers often released prisoners who were part of who protested in non-violent methods. See, British authorities often released people who protested in non-violent methods, but they did not they never released people who fought in a revolutionary manner. You can see the examples of Bhagat Singh. So either they were given the life imprisonment or they were hanged till death. So she was also jailed for the entire duration, although many people tried to get her released. Jawaharlal Nehru tried a lot, but she was not released until the independence of India. Later, she was given the title of Rani of Nagas by Nehru. That is why she is called Rani Gaidinliu. Durgabai Deshmukh was a freedom fighter from Rajmundry, Andhra Pradesh. She left her school when she was hardly 11 or 12 years old because the school had started teaching English language. Later, she started a Balika Hindi Pathshala, a Hindi school, along with other people, and she joined the national movement. She was jailed. After coming out of jail, she finished her graduation, she became a lawyer, and she practiced in the Madras High Court. She was jailed for the salt satyagraha, and she was also a founder of Andhra Mahila Sabha, which was formed for the welfare of women in Andhra Pradesh. She was also a member of the Constituent Assembly, which formed the constitution which wrote down the Constitution of India. Kasturba Gandhi was the wife of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. She took part in all the programs of Gandhiji right from South Africa when he started Satyagraha there. She was a part of those protests, and she was an active member at Champaran and Borsad Satyagraha. So Champaran was in Bihar and Borsad is a place in Gujarat. So during these two Satyagrahas she was very active. She was jailed during Quit India movement and her health was not very good. She died at Aga Khan Palace in Pune where both of them were imprisoned, and that this was in 1944. So Kasturba Gandhi, India has many colleges and hospitals named after her, Kasturba Gandhi. Next is Matangini Hajra. She belonged to a very poor peasant family from Bengal and she became a young widow. But after this, she joined the freedom movement. So, in such conditions, usually in India, women are confined to their household for their entire life, especially if they become a young widow. But despite coming from a poor background, being a widow, she actively took part in all the protests and marches that were going on at that time. She took part in the Dandi March. People often called her as Old Lady Gandhi, and she campaigned for non-payment of Chaukidari tax, and she was arrested for that in Bengal. Now, during the Quit India movement, she was trying to hoist the national flag on top of a police station. So she was leading a crowd of 5-6,000 people and they were trying to capture the police station, but police started firing on them and she was killed during this police firing. And Bengal has many schools named after her. Matangini Hajra, here is one of her statues. Vijay Lakshmi Pandit was the daughter of Motilal Nehru and sister of Jawaharlal Nehru. She was jailed 3 times during the civil disobedience movement. She was an active member of all the all the national movements that were going on, like civil disobedience, Quit India. She was also a member of the Constituent Assembly and she was the first woman president of the United Nations General Assembly. Later, she served as a diplomat for India, and she was very famous for criticizing her own niece, Indira Gandhi, when she was the Prime Minister. So, during Indira Gandhi's Prime Ministership, she was very critical of her policies, and this is something that you won't see very often in India. Family members of those who are in power, they are never seen criticizing their own uncles or niece or nephews, but she was a very non-partisan person and she criticized Indira Gandhi a lot. Next is Indira Gandhi herself. So Indira Gandhi was born in 1917 and when she was a child, she founded a Bal Charkha Sangh. Later, when she was around 13-14 years old, she founded a Vanar Sena during the civil disobedience movement. This was a group that helped the Congress party. So it had around 50,000 children as its member and it was a vast organization. They helped the Congress members in organizing the civil disobedience movement. She was imprisoned in September 1942 during the Quit India movement. She was in jail for around 1 year. Later, during 1947, when riots broke out during the partition of India, she worked in riot affected areas of Delhi with Gandhiji. Later, she became one of India's most famous prime ministers, the Iron Lady, and she died in 1984 when she was assassinated by her own bodyguards. Kamala Nehru was another member of the Nehru family. So a long list of Nehru family members, Nehru women who took part in freedom movement. She was the wife of Jawaharlal Nehru and she organized women's march during the non-cooperation movement in Allahabad. She was the women's leader in Allahabad and she also opposed the sale of liquor. So she was a leader of those people who were picketing the liquor shops. She was arrested twice during this movement. Later, she started a dispensary to treat wounded freedom fighters at her house in Allahabad, where all the freedom fighters could come if they were injured in police lathi charge or however they were treated there by Kamala Nehru and some other people. She brought together doctors, and this is how she helped. Now I will talk about Sister Nivedita. She was from Ireland, so she is not from India. Her original name was Miss Margaret Noble. She arrived in India in 1898 and she propagated the cause of India and its freedom throughout America and Europe. She went around telling people how the British rule is suppressing people in India, how it is very bad for the people, for the economy, for its society, how the suppression is going on. She spread awareness about it. And due to her efforts, many people in the West came to know about the colonial rule in India. She attended the Banaras Congress session in 1905 and supported the Swadeshi movement. Sister Nivedita. Then Annie Besant. Mrs. Annie Besant is by far the most foreign figure who was part of the freedom movement. She was also Irish by birth. She was from Ireland. She also came to India and stayed here for a long time. She was a staunch supporter of India's freedom struggle. Founded the Home Rule League in Madras in 1916. Another big leader of Home Rule League was Bal Gangadhar Tilak. She also founded the Theosophical Society in India. Now there's a question for you. Tell me who was the founder of the Theosophical Society. So in India it was Annie Besant, but who is the founder of Theosophical Society and where is the headquarters located? President of Indian National Congress, the first woman president to chair a session of Congress at Calcutta in 1917. Remember 1925 Sarojini Naidu, the first Indian woman, session was at Kanpur. She at Calcutta in 1917. She was the editor of two newspapers, New India and Commonwealth. Next is Rajkumari Amrita Kaur, 1889 to 64. She belonged to a royal family of Punjab. She had graduated from England, so you can see how affluent background she had. But she was influenced by the ideas of Gandhiji and she left her royal family, royal status and worked with Gandhiji for the people, for the emancipation of women as well as for the freedom struggle. So she was the co-founder of All India Women's Conference in 1927. She was jailed during the Dandi March as well as Quit India movement. She used to work to reduce illiteracy, eradicate child marriages and Parda system. So she was very active for social work and social campaigns of Gandhiji, and also she was the first woman cabinet minister of India after independence. She was given the health portfolio and due to her efforts, All India Institute of Medical Sciences was set up in New Delhi. Rehana Tayyab ji was born in an affluent Muslim family in Gujarat. Her father was a judge and she was also influenced by Gandhiji's ideas. She left her rich household and she joined him, Gandhiji, at Sabarmati Ashram. She took part in all the big national movements, the non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience and Quit India. She was opposed to untouchability and child marriage. So again, she was also working in the social field. She was the president of Youth Congress and jailed during Quit India movement. She was the first Muslim lady to sing Vande Mataram in a Congress session. Rehana Tayyab ji. Captain Lakshmi Sehgal was a doctor by profession. Originally she was from Kerala, but later she started working as a doctor in Chennai and from Chennai she went to Singapore. While she was working in Singapore, Singapore was captured by Japan in World War II. And here where all the Indian soldiers were captured, they were formed into Indian National Army by Subhash Chandra Bose, and she also joined Subhash Chandra Bose in his effort and she was leading an all-woman regiment called Rani of Jhansi Regiment of the INA. She also fought with the INA soldiers on the borders of Northeast India and Burma, so the Battle of Kohima, Battle of Imphal. So the Indian National Army had reached till the borders of India, but later because of the defeat of Japan, INA also lost its support and all the INA members were arrested and they were brought and trials were initiated against them. But later she was freed and after that she worked for a long time for social causes as well as she was active in politics. She was a member of Communist Party. She joined Communist parties later. In 2002, when APJ Abdul Kalam became the president, she was the one who ran against him. So she was the candidate of all the communist parties and she fought the election for president in 2002, but she lost to APJ Abdul Kalam. So this is Captain Lakshmi Sehgal. Then Kalpana Datta was a revolutionary from Chittagong. So she is also a revolutionary. I am talking about all revolutionaries now. They did not follow the non-violent methods of Gandhiji. They are following the revolutionary methods. So Kalpana Datta was part of Surya Sen's Indian Republican Army in Chittagong and she was caught and sentenced for life but she was later released. So she was working with Surya Sen, who was a revolutionary very famous for his Chittagong armory raid. Next is Noni Bala Devi, 1888 to 1967. She was born in a Brahmin family and she was widowed at the young age of 16. Despite that, she became a revolutionary and she joined the Jugantar party, Yugantar or Jugantar. So Yugantar party was a party in Bengal. It was associated with the revolutionary movement and she was transporting weapons and ammunition in Peshawar. She was arrested there for transporting weapons. She was brought to Calcutta and she was jailed. She was the first woman prisoner of Calcutta jail and she was the first and only woman to be tortured by police under a very old 1818 law. 100 years old law was used to justify her torture to get more information about other revolutionaries. So this was a very sad situation and she was also the first woman prisoner. She held hunger strikes also in the prison. And Noni Bala Devi, remember, she was a revolutionary. The last one is Preeti Lata Vadedar. She was also part of the Chittagong revolutionaries along with Surya Sen. These revolutionaries attacked institutions which had signboards like this, that Indians and dogs are not allowed. So there was a club, they attacked that, it was burnt and it was destroyed and the police came after them, and before the police could arrest her, she consumed potassium cyanide and did suicide. So this was all at the age of 21. At such a young age, she gave away her life for the country. Now after learning about all these women freedom fighters, you must have seen how they are coming from different social backgrounds. So they are not just fighting for the freedom of the country, they also fought for the freedom of women, for the social empowerment of women. This is very important. You can use it in your answers. I hope you understood the lecture. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good day.